welcome. Thank you for joining our discussion today. My name is Greg Martz. I'm the Director of Cloud Services for the ACP family of organizations, including ACP CreativIT, Camera Corner Connecting Point, Versatile Communications, as well as Site and Computer Group. I couldn't be more excited to be here with you today as my colleague Guy Scheffel talks to us all about Microsoft Copilot and makes us all AI experts as we cover the generative AI topics. Regardless of where you are on your AI journey, I really hope that you're going to find some useful information in today's discussion to help you understand how AI can help your business from a resource productivity or a transformational perspective in some way, shape, or form. For those of you who have joined us today, and for those of you who stay with us, we'll be taking some attendance throughout the meeting. And at the end, I'm really excited to let you guys know that we're going to be raffling off a few Copilot licenses for people who have hung out and participated in the meeting with us today. So super excited to give away a few of those Copilot licenses. There's going to be some great discussion throughout this, and everyone's on mute throughout the webinar today. But if you have any questions, feel free to put those questions in the chat. We're going to do our best as moderators to try to hop into the chat and answer some of those questions as we go. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining today, and I'm going to hand things off to my colleague, Guy. Guy, take it away.
Thanks a lot, Greg. Everyone, thank you very much for coming. My name is Guy Scheffel. I'm the Cloud Solutions Architect for the ACP CreativIT family of companies. The plan today is to go over Copilot in general and then do some demos for everyone to kind of see it in action. So we're really at a unique moment in time that is made possible in a large part by the digitization of business. Entire industries are transforming. We're at a technological inflection point. We really haven't experienced transformation at this scale in our industry. It seems odd to say that, but we are seeing that the growth curve is no longer a gentle slope. It's more of a vertical line. So here we're looking at the time to 100 million users for different services. Mobile phones took 16 years to get there. The internet took 7. Facebook took 4.5 years. And incredibly, ChatGPT took 3 months to get to 100 million users. I think that's a very telling stat about the adoption and interest in AI. We're living through a momentous platform shift. History has taught us that technology drives GDP growth, and the pace of change is accelerating. Technology spend has grown faster than GDP for the last decade. Historically, tech GDP growth multiplies from 4x in the 1800s to 20x over the last century. AI will be the next leg up for the world's economic growth. You can see how that really curves upwards in a hurry there towards the end. And it's really accelerating at an incredible rate. One of the predominant narratives around AI is the notion that employees are fearful it may ultimately put them out of a job. While 49% of respondents had some concerns about job security, a staggering 70% would still choose to delegate as much as possible to AI to lessen their workloads. Simply put, employees know what's in it for them. The promise of relief outweighs the threat. In general, the numbers here are talking about saving time, making you more efficient, and reclaiming time spent on busy work. In fact, when offered the choice of Copilot or a free lunch, 80% of users actually chose Copilot. 30% even say it would influence their choice of employer. The platform shift to AI is well underway. Just as customers turn to Microsoft to help them make the shift, to remote and flexible work, they're now turning to us to help them understand how this new era of AI will change work yet again. We've long relied on data to help us understand where work is going. We do that through the annual Work Trend Index, as well as productivity signals from the Microsoft Graph and labor market trends from LinkedIn. Based on the research, 64% of employees don't have enough time or energy to do their job. And the primary causes of this time and energy drain are things like searching for information and navigating inefficient meetings. Employees reported spending nearly 60% of their time on communicating and coordinating, leaving just 40% for creation, deep thinking, and collaboration. That's an eye-popping number, if you ask me. The volume of data, emails, chats, it's all outpaced our ability to process it all. A new term for this has been coined. It's called digital debt. I think that this is an important one to think about for ourselves and for our employees. Everybody's dealing with this in some way, some fashion. Every minute spent managing this digital debt is a minute not spent on creative work. In a world where creativity is the new productivity, digital debt is more than an inconvenience. It's impacting business. Nearly 2 in 3 people say they don't have enough time and energy to do their job. And those same employees are 3.5 times more likely to struggle with innovation and strategic thinking. Another recent study found that 87% of leaders believe AI will give their organization a competitive edge. The question every leader is asking themselves right now is this: how will your organization seize the full potential of AI while safeguarding your business, your data, and your employees? A recent Work Trend Index report tells us 64% of employees don't have enough time and energy to do their job, as we saw before. And employees lacking time and energy to do their job are 3.5 times more likely to struggle with innovation or strategic thinking. So, employees are starting to embrace the idea of using AI to support their work. In fact, 70% of employees are open to delegating some of their work to AI to lessen their workloads. And while for many, AI-related job loss is top of mind, 49%, the data also shows that managers are looking to leverage AI to empower people, not replace them. In fact, managers were 2 times more likely to say AI would be the most valuable for boosting productivity versus cutting headcount. SMB customers are ready to embrace AI in the workplace. Before starting on the path to AI, it's important every organization pause and think through 5 important questions. Number 1, what are your goals for using AI? 2, what are the pain points within your organization that can be addressed with AI? 3, what are your current AI capabilities? 4, does your organization have a data strategy in place? That one's very key, as you'll see. Do you have the necessary infrastructure and resources to support AI initiatives? Each of these elements will help guide and shape how you bring AI into your organization. Becoming an AI-powered business begins with taking 3 key steps towards foundational productivity. Start helping empower your employees with secure AI-powered tools like Microsoft Copilot, secure AI-powered web chat. It was formerly Bing Chat Enterprise with commercial data protection. Learning how to use Copilot in the workplace today is an important way to get started with generative AI securely. The skill development around using AI in the workplace will be crucial for users to quickly adapt and adopt Copilot for Microsoft 365 when it becomes available to them. Copilot for Microsoft 365 frees your mind from the tools and repetitive tasks that you can spend more time, so you can spend more time focused on what matters most, like running your day-to-day business, growing your customers, building your brand, and scaling securely. So let's talk a little bit about how it actually functions and works. So the Microsoft Graph it's really a gateway to the data and the intelligence in your Microsoft 365 tenant. And Copilot utilizes that to look at the data that's available to it. Copilot builds a semantic index, which is a technology that powers the search functionality in Microsoft 365 Copilot. It uses artificial intelligence and natural language processing to understand the meaning behind the words used in search queries, allowing for more accurate and efficient search results. Semantic Index is able to recognize synonyms, related concepts, and other factors that can help refine search results, making it easier for users to find the information they really need. For example, when you ask Copilot about the March sales report, it can find the right document based on who created it, what format it is in, and how it relates to your work. Copilot Semantic Index also respects your security and privacy settings, so it only shows you the data that you have permission to access. And that's key right there. So on the flip side of that, if you have permission to access data that maybe you shouldn't, it also can find that. So that's why having a data strategy in place is so vital. So here you can get an idea of the cost and which apps Copilot is currently integrated with. They keep introducing new features all the time, new functionality. So it's exciting to see it expanding the way it is. Let's see, so here you can see there's the free Copilot that you can use. It was the Bing Chat Enterprise, and then the paid for version of Copilot is right there as well. So you can still use that Bing Chat Enterprise for doing AI queries and still have that commercial data protection, which is it's a lot better than trying to use Chat GPT because it protects your data and keeps it within the tenant. I know when I was at a Microsoft conference recently, they were saying that anything you type in and put into Chat GPT, you're just training it for everyone. There were instances where somebody put in code for software and Chat GPT learned it, and it was a custom software for a company, and it was a challenge to try to undo that mess. So that's where this commercial data protection really shines and really sets Microsoft apart. There's also Copilot Studio, and this is really neat. Copilot for Microsoft 365 is great, but we know that not all your data lives within the graph in Copilot's reach. What if you were able to give Copilot access to all of your data, your finance, sales, and HR systems, CRM and ERPs? What if you could give Copilot the keys to unlock that treasure trove of data and information across every line of business? Now you can with Copilot Studio. Copilot Studio is a low-code tool that does three things. First, it allows you to connect Copilot to your other data using either pre-built or custom plugins and GPTs. So you can tap into any system of record including your custom line of business solutions. Second, it enables you to create and orchestrate sophisticated logic. Third, you can manage it all, so IT will stay in control of it. Copilot Studio is generally available today, and the integration with Copilot for Microsoft 365 is now available. It is still in public preview, though. So let's take a look. I've got a couple of videos here, so we can see it in action a little bit.
Imagine you have an appointment that conflicts with your weekly business review. What if you could do both? With Copilot, you can opt to follow a meeting. After the meeting ends, Copilot will summarize what you missed. You'll get a notification in Teams when the recap is ready. This recap will highlight content that was shared, summarize notes, and any action items for you or others whose names were mentioned. You see that one of your customers was discussed, and you want to learn more. You can ask Copilot clarifying questions, and it provides a detailed response. It can tell you why a certain decision was made, and gives you helpful context. You can even ask Copilot what other solutions were considered, and it provides citations from the transcript so you can see where Copilot drew these conclusions. It's a huge time saver. So that was pretty cool. But the real magic of Copilot happens during a live meeting. Let's say you're in a meeting with your team. You can ask Copilot to summarize the meeting so far. You can see how it summarizes who said what points were made, and it's really capturing the spirit of the discussion. And as the meeting progresses, you can check in on where people stand. You can even ask Copilot what questions are unresolved. It's just amazing to see this happen in real time during a meeting.
Okay. So that's an example of some of the things Copilot can do within Teams. I know another feature in Teams is this intelligent recap. The intelligent recap in Copilot and Teams, they work together. So the intelligent recap experience is a great way to get started because it's built in and automated, providing a familiar and standardized experience. It segments the recording with video timeline markers and is available after the meeting. Copilot can expand on intelligent recap with the ability to ask any question about the meeting. It is on demand based on each user's unique question or prompt, uses conversational UI, and is available both during and after the meeting. It really takes your insights and discovery to the next level. Intelligent Recap is included today in Teams premium licenses and will be included in the Copilot for Microsoft 365 licenses in the future. From what I understand, the future is now. It's starting to roll out. So that I'm pretty excited about that. That's one that I've really been looking forward to. So I have several more videos to highlight some of the really cool stuff Copilot brings to the table in some of the other apps.
Copilot in Outlook can help you prioritize your time and stay on top of meetings. Here you've been invited to a meeting that conflicts with a meeting you're planning to attend. Clearly, you can only attend one. From the meeting invite, you can choose to RSVP with follow. Switching over to your calendar, you can see that you're now following this meeting. Once the meeting starts on Teams, the organizer will receive a notification to record the meeting because someone is following it. Now, after the meeting is done and the recording is ready, Copilot will notify you that the meeting recap is ready for you to review. You can then ask Copilot some questions about the meeting, like, summarize this meeting, or are there any action items for me? That way you can stay on top of things as if you were present during the meeting.
Okay. So I find that one in particular to be very exciting. I'm sure we all have those times where can't be in two places at once. Wish you could clone myself. This allows you to a certain extent. You can actually attend two meetings at once, and the experience just keeps getting better. That's what's really exciting. All right, we'll move on to Word.
When you've written a paragraph in shorthand, you can highlight it and click Rewrite. Copilot then offers several alternate options to choose from that are all written professionally. And it can translate wordy or complex paragraphs into digestible visualized tables. You can even use Copilot to add a column with extra data, which it can complete automatically. Copilot also makes you the expert on any document. Simply ask a question about the content, and Copilot will provide a concise response.
All right, so that's pretty neat stuff. Sometimes I know myself in particular, you start writing something and you have a couple paragraphs that maybe sound a little too similar to each other in the way you've laid them out. You can really get some good ideas from Copilot on different ways to word things and maybe even spice it up a little bit. All right, and we've got Excel.
Copilot puts all the rich capabilities of Excel at your fingertips. Say you need to analyze this quarter's sales results for the monthly business review. You start by asking Copilot to analyze the data and give you 3 key trends. Within seconds, you've got what you need, but you want to drill in. You ask Copilot a follow-up question about one of the trends. Copilot creates a new sheet, giving you a sandbox to play in, and helping you get a better understanding of what's happening without modifying the data in the original sheet. You ask Copilot to visualize what contributed to the decline in sales growth this period. Copilot adds a little color to make the problem jump off the page. Now you want to dig a little deeper and ask a follow-up question with a what-if scenario. Copilot not only answers your question, it creates a simple model of the scenario, and even asks you if you want to learn more about what it did, with a step-by-step breakdown. Finally, you can ask it to create a graph of your projected model. Copilot has turned a sea of data into clear insights and actions.
So that's really neat that it can do some of these things. I don't consider myself to be an Excel expert, and this takes some of the guesswork to creating tables like this out of it. It's really neat, and I've used it already. It works very well. Doesn't always know exactly what your data means in some cases, so you have to tell it a little bit, but it's very neat to see it in action. So Microsoft has this Copilot Lab, and what the Copilot Lab is it really helps to teach people how to work with AI and Copilot. If you think about Googling, that's there's an art to it in some cases. It's the same thing in talking to AI. The more descriptive and detailed you can be, it comes back with results that you're looking for more accurately. So the Copilot Lab, you can learn to turn a good prompt into a great one. You can share your favorite prompts with coworkers and get inspired, as well as learn how to work with Copilot. Once it's generally available, Copilot Lab will be integrated into Microsoft 365 Copilot and accessible via a website to all Microsoft 365 Copilot users.
Introducing Copilot Lab, a new experience that will help people build new work habits for a new AI-powered era of productivity. Copilot Lab is a place to experiment, to learn the art and science of prompting, You'll learn how to turn a good prompt into a great one. Share your favorite prompts with coworkers, and get inspired as we all learn to work in a whole new way together.
Okay. So I know we touched on the permissions and what Copilot has access to. This is a short little video talking about some of those pieces.
Microsoft 365 Copilot works with the data security controls you have in place for file access, labeling, classification, and data loss prevention. Mario Rogers works for Violet Martinez, and both are on the same team at Contoso. Mario and Violet are also members in the same group working on Project Falcon. Now we'll start with Violet, who's been working with the procurement and contract management teams to sell their partner ReliCloud 1500 Mark 8 quadcopters. And you can see the file is labeled highly confidential with restricted access, and it describes all the terms in the purchase agreement. Because Violet has access to the file, she's able to search for and find it in SharePoint and Microsoft365.com. And of course, Violet can also navigate to the file's location in the Agreements folder of the project site to find the purchase agreement. So now let's look at Mario's experience. Even though he's on the same team and working on Project Falcon with Violet, if Mario tries to search for the Contoso purchase agreement, he won't find it. And there are a few purchasing documents that he does find without sensitive information, but not the one that Violet's working on. And if Mario knows the location of the purchase agreement and tries to navigate to it directly, it just appears as an empty folder to him. And when Mario launches Word on the web and creates a blank document, then prompts Microsoft 365 Copilot to summarize the Contoso purchase agreement as a reference file, because Microsoft 365 Copilot respects the file permissions of its user, Copilot also cannot access the purchase agreement. Now if we switch back to Violet's screen, because she has permission to access the purchase agreement, she can use Microsoft 365 Copilot to summarize the file. And after a moment, you'll see it created a summary of the purchase agreement, and Violet decides to keep it. Then data security controls for Microsoft Purview discover sensitive information found in the Microsoft 365 Copilot generated content. The document is automatically labeled as highly confidential, and policies are enforced to restrict access to the document.
Okay. So hopefully that makes the way it finds data and is able to access it a little more clear. Got one more short little video here that is also talking along these lines.
Microsoft 365 Copilot is transforming work with the power of generative AI. It's built on Microsoft's comprehensive approach to enterprise-grade security, compliance, privacy, identity, and responsible AI. Copilot automatically inherits your organization's Microsoft 365 security, compliance, and privacy policies, so you know your data is protected and always in your control. It all starts with your Microsoft 365 tenant. Data stored in your tenant is encrypted and only available to the users within that tenant. Your existing Microsoft 365 permissions and policies ensure that data won't leak between users and groups. And Copilot users only have access to data they've been granted permission to see in Microsoft 365, using the same technology customers have relied on for years. Your tenant sits inside the Microsoft 365 service boundary, where Microsoft's commitments to security, compliance, data location, and privacy are upheld. The Copilot large language models, or LLMs, that process your data sit within that same boundary, much like other Microsoft 365 services. Microsoft does not have eyes-on access, which means no one can view your data. Your data is not used to train the LLMs. And our EU customers can be confident that their data is processed within the EU data boundary. Microsoft 365 Copilot, enterprise-grade security and privacy for the era of generative AI.
All right. So again, they touched on the fact that they do not use your prompts in your data to train their LLM, which is the large language model. Whereas ChatGPT, what you paste into their prompts, that you are actually training their LLM. So it's something to keep in mind. So here we've got some best practices from Microsoft on baseline security controls for the supported business licensing. You do have to have one of the supported licenses to be able to utilize Copilot. So on the business side, M365 Business Standard and M365 Business Premium are what you would need to be able to utilize Copilot. And here we have the enterprise licensing recommended baselines. So again, you have to be at a certain license level with the enterprise licensing. That would be O365E3, M365E3, or M365E5. So Microsoft believes that the development and deployment of AI must be guided by the creation of an ethical framework. There are 6 core principles that should guide the work around AI. 4 core principles of fairness, reliability, and safety, privacy and security, and inclusiveness, underpinned by 2 foundational principles of transparency and accountability. And here are a few testimonials from users that got early access to Copilot. One of the ones that I particularly like is this one here in the middle. I no longer need to spend time consolidating meeting notes. Copilot does it for me. I'm saving at least 10 minutes of time with each meeting. I mean, that adds up in a hurry. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, and we're going to jump into some of these live demos here. Just one moment, I'll reshare. Right. So this demo is focused on Outlook and just showing some of the things that you can do. So really, this one's focused around a user named Lee. So he's going to open Outlook from the taskbar. The first email is from his tax preparer. He doesn't have time to review it at this moment, but he wants to respond immediately. So we'll go ahead and open Outlook. When Lee replies to the message, he has a set of options to draft a reply using Copilot. Within seconds, he has crafted a message, saving him time and keeping him more productive. So click apologize and confirm. And it really wrote up an email for him. We're going to go ahead and say keep it. Paste it right in there. Now, obviously, you always want to double check what Copilot is writing to make sure that it's accurate. But if you are okay with what comes back, go ahead and send it. It can definitely save you some time. The next message Lee reviews is about a recall on a D2250 derailleur bike part. This one's a lengthy message, but Copilot can quickly summarize the email thread so Lee can understand the discussion. So we're going to click on this one. And right up here, you can see Summary by Copilot. We're going to go ahead and click that. So he now has a summary of the email with names of people and citations to points in the original email. The citations are the little numbers that pop up right afterwards. Copilot enables Lee to address and clear his inbox in minutes, not hours, by summarizing long messages and generating action items and replies, enabling him to stay productive. So right here, we'll just show you what it does when you click on one of these footnotes. Takes you right to where it was. It takes you to the spot where Copilot pulled that information, which is really neat. All right. Lee needs to craft an email for his customers regarding the recall. He wants to save time by drafting something quickly while ensuring that his email remains professional. So we're going to start a new message. Afraid he won't cover all the information, Lee uses Outlook to provide his customers an update on the recall. Copilot pulls from other emails or content across Microsoft 365 that the user can already access. Copilot offers suggestions on clarity, sentiment, tone, and also provides overall message assessment and suggestions for improvement. Lee can now create impactful communications to customers, leveraging coaching tips to hit just the right note. We're going to say right here, draft with Copilot. Go ahead and click that. So what do you want the email to say? So Lee wants to explain, it's exactly what we were talking about, the derailer part, D2250. There's a recall. We are sorry. We will figure out precisely which bikes and customers are affected. We will also work quickly to fix bikes and communicate. So we can also click right here on the generation options. And you can see that we can change the tone, change the length if we want to. So we are actually going to change it. So you can see it wrote up a nice email. And in this case, we want to keep it. And, very quickly, he's crafted a nice sounding email. Again, always double check your work, make sure it's making sense, but it can get you in the right direction in a hurry. So we're going to jump over to drafts now. And we're going to select the Copilot button. And we're going to do coaching by Copilot. So it'll read the message that you typed out and give you some suggestions. In this case, Copilot is saying, be a little nicer. Email sounds harsh and demanding. So it sometimes is nice to get a second opinion before you send maybe an email like this. So as you can see, Lee was able to work through his email messages in minutes. not hours, allowing him to be more productive. He was also able to improve his customer messaging and email design so he could focus on what matters most, serving his customers. I think that's a pretty good example for what can be done in Outlook. Open up another one here. This one is for Teams. Right. So we're back to Lee again, and he's going to open Teams. And he's going to join this meeting here. I'm going to join now. So Lee uses Copilot in meetings or calls within the same tenant to summarize conversations and answer questions. Microsoft Copilot knows he is joining a bit late and immediately offers to recap the meeting so Lee knows what he's missed so far. So it pops up right away. Ask the Copilot to recap the meeting so far. Click that. It pops up in what looks like a chat window on the side. Copilot uses the meeting transcript in real time to complete the response. In a few moments, Lee has the key topics and is up to speed with the meeting. Copilot will only answer questions documented in the meeting conversation transcript. Copilot pulls in the name of the user typing the question, so Lee knows who to contact if he has further questions or concerns. Lee can type any question or use predetermined prompts, such as follow-up questions. So we can say, suggest follow-up questions. Copilot suggests questions Lee should ask to ensure the team is covering everything. Lee can also copy any response and paste into other deliverables. This intelligent assistant doesn't end when the meeting ends. Lee has access to Copilot through chat. So we're going to actually leave this meeting now. After the meeting, Lee goes into chat to use recap to find more information and what action items he needs to take. So we're going to come here and you can see Copilot is listed under chat. So once you get your notification, so you can directly query Copilot in here. They're not having me do that here, but you'll get a notification after the meeting is done that you have a transcript and a recording, and you can do it right from this area for this meeting. So at the top of the pane, we're going to click recap. On the recap tab, Lee has access to AI notes, the transcript, and places in the transcript where he is mentioned. All of this is captured by Copilot. Under the meeting notes, select Lee, Christy, and Urban. So that's what we're going to do right here. He can only review meeting notes, but also the places he was mentioned so he can easily find his action items. So right here, we've got the mentions, so you can see where they were talking or mentioning him. And Lee has access to the complete meeting transcript even before he joined the meeting. The transcript includes the content he missed at the beginning of the meeting. He can now review what he missed and use Copilot to ask more questions about the content. So we can click Copilot up here as well. You can see the interaction history from the meeting, including Copilot prompts and decisions made. Generate. So it generates the decision list, but Lee doesn't stop there. He wants to get an action list as well. We're going to list action items. Copilot went through the transcript and in moments gathered a list of actions for Lee. He now knows he needs to brainstorm and whiteboard on possible solutions with Miriam. Go. So it's incredibly useful to really get a good idea of what's going on in those meetings, even if you weren't there for the entire meeting. It's really neat too. It kind of breaks down who was talking at different times of the meeting. Pull up the next one. So this next one's going to focus on the Teams Copilot chat. Share this out. Okay. So Lee wants to summarize any identified tasks, Dell's response about the needed parts, and next steps. We're going to go ahead and open Teams. He can invoke Copilot within any team chat. Conversations with Copilot take place in a side panel that allows him to copy and paste. So we're talking to a Dell here. And we're going to go ahead and select the Copilot button. Lee uses Copilot within any Teams chat to summarize up to 30 days of the chat content prior to the last message in a given thread. Copilot uses only the single chat thread as a source content for responses and can't reference other chats or data types. For example, meeting transcripts, emails, and files. So we're going to go ahead and click highlights from the past day. So it brought up a couple highlights of what they had talked about. And now we're going to ask a question. How is Adele feeling about the repairs? Lee can select I like how it can't speculate on feelings or emotional state. That's AI for you, right? Lee can select pre-written prompts or write his own questions. Chat offers prompts of other questions Lee may want to ask. So you can click more prompts down here. And we're going to ask it, what are the open items? So you can see some of the things that they've spoken about within their chat thread. The responses include clickable citations, directing him to relevant source content to keep up to speed and organized. So we'll go ahead and select one. So it actually brings you to where it is in the chat thread where this was talked about. So if you need to get more context, you can look at the other chats that are around it. So it's really helpful. And again, this just is contained to this one single chat here. Now, if you want to have it be more broad, you can click the Copilot button over here and ask it questions, and then it's going to search a broader range of things. Meetings that you've attended, your email, lots of other data sources, whereas this keeps it kind of contained into this one specific thread with Adele. Right. It's that one. What's next? All right, we've got a Word one next. Okay. So using Copilot in Word, Lee gets his ideas on paper faster by generating a good first draft in minutes. Going to open Word. Going to select a blank document. And you can see that the Copilot prompt comes up. We're going to go ahead and click in here. So Lee wants to create a press release announcing a delay in recalled bike parts. So we're going to go ahead and generate it. After creating an initial draft, Lee can make changes to the press release to modify things like formatting and tone. So we're going to, he wants to make it a little more formal. And then it'll rewrite it in a more formal manner. We're going to keep it. So Lee has some questions about his press release, but doesn't want to waste time combing through it to find an answer. He can use Copilot to ensure important details are in place. So the Copilot, once your license is enabled, you'll see the Copilot button up here across all your different applications. And again, it opens up a side blade. So we want to ask a question about this doc. So he wants to know, does the press release mention the recalled part name? It searches through the document, and you can see that it answers that for him. So here we're really learning about the document itself. And when we're over here using the prompts, we're using it to generate the document. So we're going to close that. Copilot can also provide inspiration on where to go next if you get stuck. Let's see what Copilot suggests adding to Lee's press release. So you can see right here, the Copilot button prompt is right there. And it brings up the prompt then. It'll offer some suggestions, and right here it's saying, inspire me. And it brings up a whole new set of information for him. Building a frequently asked questions list and what customers can do. You know, who are we going to call? What email addresses you can email, what you need. So it's really generating a lot of good information for him here. So we'll go back up. All right. Back up. There we go. So Lee needs to hire a new mechanic for his bike shop to repair recalled bikes once the parts come in. He has a job description in a docx file that he wants to use as a reference for a hiring document. He wants to get the hiring doc out right away so he can start vetting. He already has his hands full with the recall and can't spend too much time prepping a hiring document. Lee has a job description ready, but isn't sure how to turn it into a hiring document. Let's see how Copilot can expand on his existing document to extract relevant information without having to sort through it all himself. So we're going to select File. Open up a new blank document. This time we're actually going to select a reference file. So this bike mechanic job description, perfect. So we're going to use that document as a reference to create a hiring document for my new hire. So it was able to take the information contained in that other document and really create a hiring document like he's looking for. Lee can customize his message by making changes using Copilot. He wants the introduction to sound a little warmer to reflect his company's culture. So what we're going to do is click down here and make it more casual. We're going to generate again. Lee likes the new introduction, but thinks it could be a little different. So again, we can highlight just this section and select Rewrite to get a different version. So he likes this one better. So we're just going to replace it. Copilot enables Lee to find the right candidate faster by spending less time searching for information to make his needed documents. Right. Good word demo there. And see how it really can speed things up for you. All right. Now we've got an Excel one. Okay. So in this situation, Lee has some product and sales data on a sales performance Excel sheet. Copilot works best when data is in a table format, so Lee converts the raw data set to a table in a snap. So we're going to open up Excel. And we're going to open Copilot. So immediately it comes up and says, well, once this data is an Excel table, I can start helping you. Do you want to convert? So we are going to go ahead and convert this. With the data in a table, Copilot offers a number of options, starting with the 4 core Excel prompt types at the top. Add formula columns, highlight, sort and filter, and analyze. Copilot also offers specific suggestions based on the data in this spreadsheet. Lee can use natural language to ask Copilot to accomplish tasks. He also has prompt starters. Lee starts with some very simple highlighting. So we're going to highlight. He needs to understand the impact of this recall on his financials. He'll take Copilot's suggestion and bold the top 10 quantity sold values for the year to date. You can see Copilot made a couple suggestions here. So we're going to do that. Copilot applied conditional formatting, a feature that has been around in Excel for a while, but might be intimidating to people. Let's do a little more on that front and ask Copilot with natural language to highlight the top 10% of sellers with yellow. Lee can add simple text to a started prompt. So highlight the top 10% sold in yellow. Copilot doesn't need the exact object names, so Lee doesn't have to remember the details. It's pretty much like a really smart member of your team who knows the data and can hear what you're trying to get to. Again, highlighting is a feature power users might know how to use, but Copilot makes it accessible to everyone. Bolding and yellow are both conditional formatting. In the Excel ribbon, we're going to click condition. Lee can still access the underlying formulas Copilot uses to complete tasks. See, they're still there. Didn't change any of that. You can still get to it the normal way you would. Copilot provides Lee access to functions and Excel features he may have overlooked before because of the complexity. He can ask questions in his own words and think faster than before. Now let's see how Copilot can help expand the data with a formula. Most of us have a few formulas we know and love, but many probably overwhelm us. All right, so we're going to select the prompt. Formulas are something that overwhelms Lee. He knows he wants Excel to show him, but doesn't always know how to get there. We're going to add a formula column. So he wants a formula column for total profit by ID. So what's great about this is that Copilot automatically analyzes the data, generates the needed formula, and then explains the calculations used. Lee's final analysis is to identify total profit for each derailleur type to identify how the C2250 delay impacts overall profits. We're going to say insert column. You can see it added this total profit column right there using that formula. So now he wants to know what is the total profit based on derailleur type. So you can see that it actually created a pivot chart. And we can select add it to a new sheet. So Copilot just created a pivot table, one of the most daunting Excel features, and Lee can see that the C2250 part impacts, what is it, 312,000? 312,000 of profit for a small business. That quickly, Lee used simple language queries to have Copilot create formulas to identify the top product sellers in his company. Then with limited effort, created a pivot table showing the C2250's parts impact on his business. He's decided he definitely needs to hire a new employee to help him through this time. All right. That's our Excel demo. And I've got one more. And this one is for PowerPoint. Got shared. All right. Copilot in PowerPoint is a powerful tool that is excellent at accelerating the creation and editing of professional-looking presentations. Copilot isn't just for adding slides or making deck-wide text changes. Copilot can also bring structure to presentations. We're going to go ahead and open PowerPoint and pop Copilot open. Copilot offers Lee different options he can explore to get started. Lee can create his presentation from a prompt, a file, or leverage enterprise templates. We're going to create a presentation from a file. Copilot suggests recent files to assist in finding the desired file to create the presentation from, such as his onboarding document. So we're going to create a presentation from that onboarding document that he created earlier. Copilot creates a visually appealing presentation outline, adding slides covering the onboarding topics Lee outlined in the Word document. Lee only needs to worry about getting the message across. While it's great to have the slides in place, Lee would like a little more structure to the deck. So we're going to down here. So he wants to organize this presentation. Copilot analyzes the content of the presentation and groups slides into newly created sections, as well as adding section title slides. Lee is feeling great about the presentation, but he wants to add a bit more of the company culture and imagery to the presentation. Not confident in his design skills, Lee needs a little help with his thoughts. Again, we'll come back to Copilot. So he wants to add a slide with the company motto. To finish the slide, Lee wants to add an image reflecting the company's motto. So due to the integration with DALL-E, OpenAI's image generator, this allows Lee to ask Copilot to create a custom image reflecting the company's motto. Copilot inserts an outdoor image of a person riding a mountain bike. Lee has one last detail he'd like to add. He asks Copilot to update the headers in the presentation to be blue using the microphone prompt. Speaking is faster than typing, so he saves time verbalizing to Copilot. With the headers updated, Lee's happy how this presentation has come together. Lee now has created and edited a powerful, professional bike mechanic onboarding presentation, complete with all the information he's been gathering in his document. He had to think less about how to PowerPoint and more about providing the information Adele needs to succeed. Okay. That's that one. Jump back over here. Right. So I guess the question remains, how can you get started? We would love to help you on your AI journey. You can contact us today to start this conversation. We can help you get moving. We're really excited about Copilot. We're excited all of you could make this meeting and learn a little bit with us today. Hopefully you found it beneficial. Did want to mention that As we said earlier in the meeting, there's going to be 2 winners of Copilot licenses. They're going to be randomly selected after the meeting, and we will reach out to you to let you know what needs to happen to get those applied. We really appreciate everyone's attending today. Greg, do you have anything that you wanted to add?
No, so I just want to say, Guy, you did a great job today here. I really appreciate you giving us all a wonderful update on what Copilot can do and how Copilot can help accelerate your business. I want to thank everybody for joining today's discussion. As Guy noted, we are going to be raffling off a couple of these Copilot licenses, so keep an eye out in your email over the next week. We'll be sending out some instructions for those of you who won. Thanks so much, and have a great day.
Thanks again, everyone.